Gunchbags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and it is time for my review of this new EP from Julian Gray, Autonomous, or should I say Autonomouse? The terrible pun. But Julian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Julian Gray of Julian Gray Media and of Mousetrap Recordings as of recent. You may have heard of my YouTube channel. I do music education and kind of similar stuff to Landon, but I'm a YouTuber as well, and you can check me out on Julian Gray Media.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for this guy. He obviously has his YouTube channel. A lot of you who are like producer junkies might have come across him because he's got a lot of tutorials. Like I've looked up how to do like certain things like progressive house plucks and things, and then like come across his tutorials, so it's just really cool. Interestingly enough, I actually found Julian originally through this clip of deadmau5 playing one of his tunes on one of his live streams. So it's like really cool for me to see like how you've progressed and like how he kind of noticed you and
absolutely
found your music, and then from there now you're here and you're actually like a Mousetrap like official artist and you're playing the events and everything. So
that was one of the bigger
really cool
turning points in the path to getting there.
Yeah, so it's really cool to have Julian here. I think this is the first time I've ever done one of these collab reviews for a Mousetrap project. I did a video with No Taker, but that was on his Monstercat EP, not his Mousetrap
Cool.
EP. But still really cool to be able to do this. Oh, thank you. So the first thing that I wanted to mention is just getting started on like the theme of this EP and what it actually means to you. Because I know autonomous, I was kind of looking up the definition of that, and it says like I think the best definition is acting independently or having the freedom to do so.
Yeah.
And I thought that was both cool. I guess like because you're a very self-made artist, you'd say, because you do the artwork, the visuals, really everything when it comes to your music, even the vocals a little bit.
It's
so like
definitely something I pride myself in.
And do you think that's like what Autonomous is about in that regard?
It kind of it's like a self-perpetuating machine. That's like the idea of the album, like just keeps running endlessly I guess until the end, which is essentially it's kind of representative of me and my music as far as like I do everything, and it's just a self-contained thing. I think I got the term from like automated cars
okay,
that drive themselves, and it's kind of that sort of definition can be applied to my musical project because I kind of handle everything in-house. And I just love the idea of something running like endlessly forever. It's such a cool concept to me. The cover art is, for example, an endless running machine.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, based on it's a homage to the works of MC Escher. He's like this incredibly cool geometric designer from the 80s and 90s. But it depicts like a endless waterfall, which is like, I think it represents the term autonomous very well.
I also thought in regard to like that definition that I gave you, I thought the name was a little bit ironic at the same time because this is like your first EP that's on like I guess you could call Mousetrap a major label.
Yeah,
but
it's the first major
like
EP.
Minor,
for
major.
sure.
But yeah, I just thought it was a funny little hint of irony there.
Yeah.
Just getting into the actual music, I'd say that this might actually be my favorite EP you've put out, or at least it's either my favorite or it's very close with Illuminate. I'd probably say like
that's
maybe not
favorite.
Necessarily as experimental as Illuminate was, but I think you've made something really cool here, and something that I could see myself coming back to a ton. Like I've been enjoying it, just spinning it a lot leading up to this review. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first like gapless EP you ever done too. Like it's very seamless and
it's the first one I've done in a very long time. My debut EP back in 2014 was a continuous play. That one's very like under the radar though. It's very old. I think it may be on Apple Music still, but
talking about the actual music here, so you've got I think you've got an interesting blend of styles that might harken back to like deadmau5 himself, where it's kind of like a mix of progressive, electro, maybe a little bit of like tech stuff, but I'd say it's more like primarily progressive with like some electro elements in there. The album title Goes Here, I feel like was kind of an influence on this EP. Like I could hear more references to that album than like any
absolutely.
other era.
It's funny you should say that because I read a study that like your biggest musical influence is from the age like 12 to 14. And that album came out right during that period, and I would consider that my favorite Deadmau5 album. So there's a ton of influence there for sure. Maths and the Velt, and that's probably my favorite of his works. So it's very cool to be compared to that album.
No. That album is really, really a solid album. And I actually wanted to mention, you said Mass and the Veld, but actually the song Apathy reminded me a lot of Superliminal. Like, not necessarily the melodic stuff you have going on, but it's kind of got that like 6/8 over 4/4 kind of rhythmic structure.
Yeah. It's almost like a cadence to the album.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got kind of like a similar, you've got like a similar snare drum thing going on leading into like the build up and everything. And I thought that was interesting. I don't want to make it sound like I think you're ripping it off or anything, because it's like melodically structured. It's completely
cool.
a different song. But I think
I actually get that comparison quite a bit from the Mousetrap community. It's a popular comparison, so I don't take offense to that at all. I think it's cool.
I wanted to note that I actually really enjoy this song. It may or may not be my favorite. I'd say like the first 3 tracks are probably like in a nice little 3-way tie for like my favorite track on this album. Or EP, I guess I should say.
Yeah, no
I really like the melodies you kind of got going on, like the little like just like the little licks are really enjoyable to me. And then I think kind of harkening, I don't want to compare you to Deadmau5 too much, but like you've got the little like orchestral section. I'm assuming that's all MIDI, right? So
yeah,
you've got,
it's for the most
MIDI
part.
Orchestral section kind of in the middle there. But I really enjoy it. I think it's a style I vibe with a lot. Like I said, one thing that I really enjoy about this EP is how seamless it is, and I really enjoy the transition from Apathy into It Is What It Isn't, which I think like in terms of just being a like really inventive song might be like the most on that end from this EP. This song feels to me like it pays tribute to a lot of the stuff that's on like dance radio right now, like DANCEHALL, especially like with that beat, and then you kind of flip it into like your signature style, during the drop, I guess.
I would say It Is What It Isn't was very inspired by a lot of like, I would say Drake. I was super inspired by his last album, More Life, as far as the dancehall rhythms go and the vocals go and stuff like that. It was very Drakey when I first started it, and then I thought, okay, I have to pull this back into my scope a little bit, and I did that drop, which is kind of like what I do, but it's more, I think, like 2011 to 2012 like radio dance music. Old Calvin Harris, old Rihanna.
Yeah, I could agree with that. For sure.
That's kind of like the vibe I was going for. But it was definitely a cool explorative song for me, because I hadn't done a full vocal track on my own, like with my own vocals, up until that point, and it was a cool way to really introduce that to my audience.
Yeah, I think you pulled this off in a really interesting way, because a big problem that I have with dancehall and EDM right now is that so many people are doing like the exact same thing over and over again, and I think you're kind of blending here. While it is really interesting when you never kind of think like this old, I don't even know if you like, I guess you wouldn't really say electro, but like this old kind of progressive like dance style, and then combining it with the dance hall sound. It's not something you'd think would work, but you make it blend together, I feel like, in a really nice way. And then the vocals too, obviously, like a lot of my favorite music is like producers who are just doing vocals on their own songs, and I think it's really cool that you put this together. One thing that I wanted to note with this song is like the lyrics to me felt a bit nonsensical. So could you kind of explain like what you were trying to go for with those? Like,
I did a annotation on Genius actually.
Oh really? Okay.
The lines are all a combination of 2 lines. They're in run-on. It is what it isn't it what you want is like a combination of the term it is what it is and isn't it what you want. Yeah. And it kind of details like falling out of a relationship. It wasn't really based on a singular relationship in my life, more just like past experiences, and just tapping into those feelings I had at the time. But the lyrics are kind of like it's reminiscent of I guess like the feelings you go through after like either a breakup or losing a friend or something like that. It is what it isn't it what you want. Accept it and move on. Get a move on. Like get out of my life. And I get my groove on when you've gone, which is like I'm happier now that you've left. And of course, it's like a cool line because it's like a groovy song. And I want to run away, run away, run away. Obviously, you want to get away from the situation. It's funny now, isn't it, what you want? Regret it and move on. So it's like, it's funny now, isn't it? Like, it's funny where we sit currently, and you regret it. You regret the whole situation. Take a breath of it, Metropolitan Oxygen. I have a really cool explanation for that one on Genius, but essentially it's like breathing in the toxic air of the relationship. And that's like the bulk of the lyrics. And you can read the full like annotation I did on Genius, but like again, it's just pretty much like a pop song about a relationship breakup, you know, the bog standard stuff. But as far as like the actual like grammatical elements to it, it's forced run-on sentences to make it kind of more interesting.
One thing that I wanted to know with that Metropolitan Oxygen line is I really like how you layer those like breath sounds in the background. Like that was a really like detailed like production element that I feel like some people might glance over, but it's like when you're just paying attention to it. It's like,
I remember when I wrote that, I was like, okay, I have to put a breath here.
Yeah.
Like I remember it was right in my head as soon as I wrote that line.
I feel like this might be your cleanest like EP as well.
Okay.
Like maybe I feel like there's somewhat, or at least I felt like there was somewhat of a gap between Immunity and Illuminate.
Okay.
And like I feel like you really stepped up with that one.
Yeah,
And then like
I
this one is just like mega clean, like mixed downs.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I can hear all the sounds you're trying to push through and everything. Like it just feels, I don't know, it feels natural.
Yeah, I think that's like a really good compliment. I think it's good for any artist to improve with every EP. Hopefully the next one isn't terrible. You know? And I agree, actually. I think there was a big gap between Immunity and Illuminate. Illuminate was like a year in the making, where Immunity was like a few months. And then Autonomous, while Mousetrap like signed it like early this year, I had been working on it for like a very long time.
Yeah, I can imagine like that would be a primary reason why this EP sounds so clean, is because you must have been focusing on that aspect. Like
I think when you have like a reason to do something, you tend to do it better than you normally would. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right. But yeah, so I wanted to mention my other favorite on this EP is the title track, Autonomous, which I don't know how like this fits in as the title track, because I'm not sure if it entirely...
The reason it's the title track is because it was the most popular track going into it. There was a lot of hype behind that track before I even put it out because of the Deadmau5 live stream that we discussed earlier. That was one of the bigger reasons. It was the original name, and I thought that would be a really good name for an EP.
So something that I mean, there's a lot of things I really enjoy about this song. Like, just like Apathy, you've got some really interesting rhythmic choices going on here. You've got a similar kind of like 6/8 over 4/4 thing going on, but it's used in a much different way. I think this song's a bit more like electro-y, a little bit more aggressive than Apathy, but I really enjoy it regardless. A lot of the stuff that's going on. And personally, I think my favorite part of the track might be when it's got this is a drill with the drill sound, and then it goes into like the halftime section. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It was just like something about that like hit me really hard. I like the slowed down synths and everything. I just feel like everything works together.
It was very cool.
In a really cool way there.
I think I forget. It might have been a Mr. Bill sample pack. Mr. Bill and I like communicate really often. He's a really good friend of mine, and he sent me a sample pack of like hardware tools or something. Okay. And I was writing Autonomous, and I was like, this could be a cool like pun, you know, like to have like a part where it's like, this is not a drill, and then this is a drill, and go into like all these like literally ridiculous drill, like construction yard sounds, and I think it turned out pretty freaking cool. Yeah, that song really to me was just stretching my legs as far as like production goes. I wanted to like break a ton of conventions, as many as I could in one song. Like the main melody's a Dorian lead, like as far as the scale goes, and then the bass line under it's chromatic, so it's like rising and then falling, and then the rhythm is like you said, it's like 6/8 with like little elements of 4/4 thrown in as like polyrhythms. So it was a really explorative song again. Like I just wanted to break a ton of conventions with that one, and I think I succeeded.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't want to make you think that I hate Paper Planes. I don't hate Paper Planes. I think it's a fine song. It doesn't necessarily stick out to me as much as the other three. Like in terms of what you're doing with the track, the lead synth makes me think this is something akin to like some of C418's like older work.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of his stuff you've listened to, but yeah,
it
reminded me of that quite a bit. And then the first little break, I guess, with like the pads and then the beat behind it. Made me kind of think more like deadmau5 random album title, like just that style of like progressive house, that kind of era, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, but
it's not your cup of tea.
Yeah, just in terms of like what you're doing here,
yeah,
just didn't necessarily interest me as much as the other track.
This EP has been really cool because people have very different favorites on it. I think I've had someone say that their favorite song from the EP is every song on the EP. Like I've had some people say Paper Plane's their favorite. I've had some people say It Is What It Isn't their favorite. I think it's because they're so diverse that there's something that, you know, some people may latch on to more than others. If I had to pick like a favorite, it would probably be Paper Planes, ironically enough.
Okay. Interesting.
But I appreciate like, you know, the difference of opinion. I think it really shows how broad the style of the album is.
So one thing kind of going into the end of this, I guess, I'd say this is probably my favorite EP that Mousetrap has released this year. And not to talk down on No Man or anything, I was kind of a little bit disappointed in that last EP compared to his other two.
Assorted Repetitions?
Anyway.
The green one?
Yeah. Not to say that there wasn't good songs on that, but so I think so far, at least, we're not completely done with the year, but I think so far this is my favorite like EP that Mousetrap
That's
has put
an
out.
honor. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Hey, you made a good EP here, so you deserve the compliment. I think Eddie's EP might be like a good competition, though. I'm really excited about that one.
I've heard it in full, and it's pretty incredibly good.
So I guess kind of closing off, what would you say is like, I don't know, it seems like your entire career, at least from my eyes, has kind of been building up to this point, like getting a release signed with Mousetrap, doing like Mousetrap shows and everything, and being really involved in that community. What is like the next step for Julian Gray?
I've got some new music coming soon on a few labels. I think the future really is unpredictable. You know, you never know where life is going to take you. I have some releases coming, but who knows where I'll be next year. I hope to be touring and doing more shows, actually. That's probably the biggest focus, but new music's coming soon-ish on Mousetrap and otherwise. So, would
you say there is like an album in sight anywhere in the future? Because this EP at least made me think, with like how seamless and gapless it is, it made me think like that you possess the ability to be able to do something like that. But is that in the future?
I'm definitely considering one. I've written a few things with an album or LP in mind. The thing is, I really want to dedicate like at least a year to make a really solid like work. To me, like the great albums like Adventure or you know, Worlds or Wow, One Is Less Than Two are very personal to the artists, and because of that they're very timeless, and I don't want to rush out like a banger album.
For sure.
You know,
for sure.
I would rather take my time and sit on it and make like a beautiful piece of art that, you know, stands the test of time a little better. Short answer, I have been working on some stuff for an LP, but if that was ever to come out, I don't know. But definitely within the next few years, I'll have an LP out, I'd say.
Okay, cool. But yeah, it was great having you here. For people watching, on my scale, I'd probably say this is like a light 7.5 for me.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. Really enjoying this project. And for you guys watching, I would definitely like highly suggest it if you're into artists like Bad Computer or obviously Deadmau5 or people like that. I would definitely suggest you go check out this EP. Yeah, Julian Gray, Autonomous. Special shout out to Julian for joining me for this video.
Thanks
really
for
cool
having
to be
me.
able to do. Yeah, definitely. And anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the review, and we'll catch you later. Peace.